Hello, I'm Dr. Gabriel Esteban. As a Catholic university, Seton Hall is committed to supporting educational achievement within our community. That's why we're proud to support the important educational programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
Funding for this edition of New Jersey Capital Report has been provided by Wells Fargo, Seton Hall University, where leaders learn, New Jersey Resources, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Turn a dream into a degree. Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation. The New Jersey Association of Health Underwriters, New Jersey's benefits specialist. And by Fedway Associates. Promotional support provided by NJ Advance Media. And by Observer New Jersey Politics.
Steve Adubato, and once again, we're here at the Business and Industry Association Impact Symposium, keeping New Jersey competitive. We're here with Michele Siekerka, president of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. I was just honored to do a forum once again with our legislative leaders. And Michele, you and I were just talking about it. We tried to talk about the pension situation, the budget. It was challenging.
Yes.
I didn't want it to be negative or pessimistic. And actually, the survey, the ALEC survey you did, talked about how optimistic so many business leaders are. Square that for us.
Yes, well, our business leaders are optimistic as they look forward to 2017. They tell us that they look forward to increasing hiring, sales, and profits. So that's a good message. They're looking forward to increasing wages as well. And that's great for the 1 million employees that we represent through our 20,000 businesses here in New Jersey. So where's the disconnect? Well, the disconnect is it's the state of New Jersey. We've got some significant issues in the state of New Jersey.
Pension top of the list?
Pension is pension and property tax are at the top of the list. You know, pension is, we talked about many times, Stephen, you and I talked about this. There's 3 legs to the albatross stool in New Jersey. One we just took care of, Transportation Trust Fund, okay? The second one, property tax reform. And the third one, the pension. Those are 3 significant issues that weigh down the state and drive up the cost of doing business in the state of New Jersey and make it very difficult, not just for our business owners, but for every resident in the state of New Jersey. Now, why am I optimistic? We just did comprehensive reform that included replenishing the Transportation Trust Fund, and in exchange for that, we addressed some issues around affordability in the state of New Jersey, like elimination of the estate tax.
Big deal.
Big game changer. Because New Jersey residents are going to stay here now. We have people fleeing the state of New Jersey, going to number 1 and number 2 out-migration states, Pennsylvania and New York, to avoid estate tax. We have people fleeing to those states because the tax preferences are better for people who are retiring. So a second thing that we got in comprehensive tax reform was increasing the threshold on retirement income. That means now that seniors and people contemplating retiring have a better chance of their retirement income not being taxed because the threshold was increased 5 times. Anecdotally, our businesses tell us that's a game changer, and now they don't have to think about running out of the state of New Jersey. They're going to take a pause, and they're going to think about, maybe I can stay here after all.
So it's so interesting, while we're having this forum discussion with the legislative leaders, you want to have an honest dialogue about the pension situation and how we're going to pay down on that situation. Because the reason why the pension situation is so, I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but it takes so much of the state's dollars to go into that it takes money away from other initiatives. Is that a fair description?
It's very fair. And if we would have had a constitutional amendment that mandated that payment as a super priority over every other need, that would have been $3 to $5 billion right off the top of the general fund. Could you imagine? What would we then do to fund public health, safety, and welfare?
That would have been a bad, I want to be clear, bad idea.
Bad idea. Bad idea to make that a super priority over every other need in the state of New Jersey. When the gentlemen who just spoke, our budget leaders, when they spoke, they talked about the challenges of coming to a balanced budget in the state of New Jersey. Could you imagine mandating a priority payment of $3 to $5 billion a year that they don't have today? No.
But Michele, devil's advocate, someone says, wait a minute, but the state promised public employees that they would do that. We have a contract. It's a moral obligation, you say?
Well, we do. We do. But you know, Steve, we need to look at it practically, okay? Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be taking care of that pension obligation. We've sat and we've said we want to be part of the discussion to get that done. We talked about quarterly payments that will help to advance. We think that's a good thing. And we're studying that more to understand economically what that
Regularly
means.
quarterly payments into the pension fund.
Into the pension fund, exactly. You know, we've heard the NJEA say that they're tired of being at the end of the line. I understand that. You know, we have debtors to the state, and the NJEA says they're tired of being at the end of the line. We understand that, okay? But we got to find somewhere in the middle to make sure that we're doing this in a responsible manner. And if we would have constitutionally mandated it as a super priority, payment first, that wouldn't have been the responsible answer. Number two, we need a paradigm shift here. So you know what? There is an obligation to pay that. They've paid in. We have to keep our side of the obligation. I got to tell you, New Jersey businesses, unfortunately, they break their promises. They have needed to break their promises to their employees on pensions in the past. They didn't have money to fund their pensions. It is rare you will find a New Jersey company that has a pension like that anymore today. Our company is a perfect example. Last year, we had to stop our pension, and everybody's in a 401k now.
I mean, Business and Industry Association.
Business and Industry Association, absolutely. We couldn't sustain that pension anymore, all right? I had to take that to my staff, all right? And we got through it, and they understand, because we want a future of the NJBIA, and we know that those types of programs aren't sustainable anymore.
Last question. You and I have talked about this before. We talked about it on the legislative panel. The $15 an hour minimum wage would mean what in this state, particularly to business?
Well, you know, it's not the right way to go. So if we want to talk about what are the challenges to low-wage earners in the state of New Jersey, let's have a comprehensive discussion, right? What do you want to do first? Raise their skill set. Let's raise their skills so that they can earn a $15 wage job. If you artificially inflate the value of an entry-level position to $15, you reset every other position in the state of New Jersey. So let's build the skills from the entry-level worker. And you want to know something? New Jersey businesses want to make that investment. Do you think a company wants to spend their money on turnover? There is a cost to turnover. So when someone comes in at an entry level, a company wants to see them build their skills in the company, rise through the ranks, and then have their income be equivalent to their skill set. That's the discussion. And that's only one part of the discussion. Because the other ways that we help low-wage earners is we need to do something about affordability in the state of New Jersey. And we need to look at the issues that are dragging them down and find out how we make those issues more affordable for them.
And that's what your organization deals with every day, and we'll continue that discussion as we move forward. And by the way, Michele, a program note, I know you know this, you want to just let our viewers know that in March of 2017, a new series called State of Affairs, in fact, will be on the air. Dealing with some of these same issues, and we look forward to having you join us and other policymakers, business leaders, legislators, and others having meaningful dialogue. And so we look forward to you joining us, and we look forward to our audience as well. We'll be right back after this. Thanks, Michele.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve Adubato, I am honored to be joined by the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of New Jersey here at the Business and Industry Association Forum with the movers and shakers who matter. You don't miss this event, do you? You're here.
I try not to miss any event with BIA.
Why is that?
Because this is my easiest reach to the business community, you know, and you get to see big companies and little companies. The big companies I can get to, the smaller companies are harder to reach, and so when they come to an event like this, I get them.
Yeah.
I get to talk to them.
You know, the one thing about you that has always been interesting, our paths have crossed, and you give out we talk about this all the time, you give out your cell phone number. People are always calling you and talking to you about red tape, because you've headed up the Red Tape Commission. What's the number one message you're getting to people about regulation, red tape?
You know, I used to reach out to big companies and talk to the big companies about how hard it was to do business in New Jersey, but I find, first of all, I get more satisfaction out of dealing with the smaller companies or the one or two small businesses, because you know the real growth in New Jersey isn't keeping a company or stealing a company from New York and bringing them over. It's fun and it's good to do, but the real growth is small business. And if small businesses can just pick up the phone or text me and get an answer, or get something done, there's a concept, then they'll stay in New Jersey and grow in New Jersey and have some confidence in our ability to provide for them what they need in order to be successful in New Jersey.
But you know, one of the things, I was moderating a panel this morning with our legislative leaders, we heard from some of the business leaders as well. But the businesses who do leave, Lieutenant Governor,
Yep.
some of the biggest reasons, is it around regulation? as well as taxes, both? What are we talking about
Well,
here?
you know, when a business leaves, I always call them to find out why they leave, because you learn a lot by your losses. So what I find, two things: they stay. If the numbers work, if it's objectively reasonable for that company to stay, they'll stay. And if they feel welcome. In other words, if they know that there's someone they can pick up the phone and talk to who can get the lieutenant governor on the phone or can cut through red tape when it comes to any of the bureaucracies that they have to deal with. They won't always get the answer that they want, but at least an answer. You know, somebody to pick up the phone and say, I want you to stay here, I can try to help you here, make the numbers work for them here, and then offer regulatory relief if I can.
Right.
You know, that's the one-on-one kind of personal touch that small companies and large companies want, I find.
The other thing that's so interesting to me is the estate tax issue that was resolved. I don't know if it's resolved, but big progress was made on that in connection with the gas tax tied to the Transportation Trust Fund. You made your feelings clear about the gas tax.
I did.
You hear there was a little bit of reaction to that, and you might not have heard. But that being said, the estate tax, important.
Very important.
Why?
And everybody thinks that because I'm a Republican, I'm about to say it keeps all those 1%ers in town. That's not why. It's a small business. You get a dry cleaner, a man who buys a business, man or a woman who buys a business, works 7 days a week to build that business up. It's one dry cleaner. He cannot give that business to his child.
That's right.
Because he has to sell it to pay the estate tax.
The estate, because that would be part of the estate, and those
Right, we have
taxes
two
would
taxes,
kill him
right,
or her.
right. So in 2 years, there will be no such thing. So he has a better chance of passing on his life's work to anyone he wants, but his friends and his families and his children, that you don't have to sell to pay the taxes. And that, to me, is what it's all about. Like I said, big business is great. I love them when they stay here. I love them when they come here. I'm happy to fight to do all that. Nothing more fun than stealing a company from New York, because
you like that.
They've been doing it to us for years. So I'm happy to do that. But it's better if we have organic growth,
Right.
small businesses who believe in New Jersey, and we've seen it. We've seen it already. We've seen a record number of small business filings in New Jersey in the last 2 years. We're almost up to 100,000. Now, that means nothing in the abstract, but if you look at where we were in 2010, there were 80,000. So we have a 20% increase in the number of business filings in just the last 6 years, which is, you know, it's hard to move the needle in this world when you're coming in and with all of the all the problems, infrastructure problems we had. It's hard to move the needle. We move the needle on small business filings and businesses willing to take a chance on New Jersey again by 20%.
You know, the NJBIA report talked about how bullish and positive a lot of businesses are. My question for you is, how positive and bullish are you about business in this state, 2017, the economy?
I think if you're the right business, you should grow here. And the right business means a company that needs a well-educated workforce. As you know, we have more scientists and engineers per square mile than any place else in the world. And how do I know that's true? Because the local newspapers fact-checked it and said it was true. So it has to be true.
Look at you trusting the media.
Yeah, I use it for my own purposes, right? But more science, we're a very educated workforce.
Right.
We have a fabulous school system, both K through 12 and higher education. And we have fabulous companies that are willing to stay here and grow here. So to answer your question, I think you should be excited. I always choose to believe the cup is half full. You know, I choose to believe that we can do better. We have to do better. Unemployment is 5.2, 5.3. Unemployment nationally looks like it's 4.6-ish, depending on how you look at it. That will change. You know, it flows up and down. But we can do better. There's still a lot of people that are underemployed. There's still a lot of people that are looking for jobs, and we can do better. But we can always do better, right? It doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing, we can always do better. So I hope people are comfortable giving me a call.
So how about this? 2017, we have you back. Do you think you might want to talk about the future?
Might want to talk about the future. I have 13 more months in the best job in the world. You know, there's nothing more fun than being the first lieutenant governor in New Jersey. I have a fabulous, fabulous job keeping businesses here, but there might be some other things to talk about after the new year. Yes.
Well, we are in fact talking at the end of 2016. We look forward to speaking with you in the new year, because you never know what happens in New Jersey in 2017 and beyond. And we thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for taking the time to speak with us. As always, all the best.
Thank you.
Steve Adubato here at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association annual event, where all the people who matter in the business and governmental and political community, and some of the folks in the media here as well. And we have Julie Roginski, who is Democratic strategist and president of the Comprehensive Communications Group. We see her on Fox News, Fox Business on a regular basis. Let's just do this. Let's talk a little bit of politics.
Sure.
Biggest takeaway for you from the 2016 presidential election was?
Everything that I've known about politics in the last 20 years is going to be going out the window. I was the person that said math is math and past is always prologue and you can't reinvent the wheel and every other horrible cliche that you can think of. And it turned out that, in fact, I was wrong. And
you weren't the only one.
I was not the only one, but I certainly was wrong in a very public way on a very public television station day in and day out. So I think I and people who do this for a living need to really take stock of what happened and readjust accordingly going forward, especially for the 2017 gubernatorial cycle.
Yeah, Julie joined Rafael Piomon, my great colleague, and I on Capitol Report. We had a great discussion talking about this, and I remember everything you said on that program, and I was looking at it before we got here, and I was like, okay, it seemed to make sense, and I thought, okay, did Donald Trump rewrite all the rules about politics and campaigns?
He rewrote a great deal of them. I think what he rewrote, first and foremost, is not necessarily what he rewrote, but what voters rewrote. I spoke to a pollster who said that they got their polling in a particular state that he was talking about, Pennsylvania, exactly right in all the places you would normally expect, in the cities, but not among white working class voters who Donald Trump's people kept saying over and over to us, you're missing something here. They're not picking up the phone. They're showing up at rallies in droves. And I kept saying, and as well as other people who do this for a living, that's all very nice, but that's all very anecdotal. And empirical data still drives the narrative. And empirical data is saying that there's no way Donald Trump is going to win a state like Pennsylvania. In fact, we were wrong. These people are people who do not respond to traditional pollsters. They don't necessarily look at traditional media. And by traditional media, I don't just mean the mainstream liberal media as people define it, but just in general, even Fox News. They're not necessarily people who watch that. They're people who go to very niche websites to get their news. And that informs the way that people like I, who practice politics for a living, need to start communicating with them, and also ways to try to persuade them to come over to our side.
We absolutely want to look forward to 17 and what it means, New Jersey and the region and beyond, but lesson about the Hillary Clinton campaign, what would you say?
I think the Hillary Clinton campaign lacked a core message. I think it had a very fragmented message that was going to very fragmented demographics. They had one message for African American voters, one message for the LGBTQ community.
Can't do that?
Can't do that. Can't do that. If you think about it in retrospect, what was successful about 1984, Morning in America, we all remember. It's the economy, stupid, for Bill Clinton in 92. Hope and change for Barack Obama. It was an encompassing message that appealed to everybody across the board. Once again, make America great again.
One message.
One message appealing to everybody, no matter how you want to describe it. What making America great to you meant as a 35-year-old woman was different from what it meant as an 85-year-old man, particularly, and different segments may have interpreted it differently, but it was something that appealed to everybody. And I think she lacked a core message. There was no reason to vote for her other than she wasn't Donald Trump, and that's not good enough.
President Donald Trump, the communicator.
He's a good one. He's a good one. He's able to very effectively communicate a message. If you look at the Carrier announcement from a week or two ago.
We're taping at the end of 16, but go ahead.
Right, okay. Well, so there's not much substance to it. He didn't save all too many jobs. Many jobs are going back to Mexico, but people really
responded.
People responded. They really believed that he saved jobs and really took care of their needs. And so to some extent, he's very good at communicating. The proof will be in the pudding. He promised a lot of people a lot of different things. It's time to see whether he actually delivers. If he doesn't, a lot of disappointed people are going to be taking it out on him and on his party in 2 years.
Social media and the presidency, tweeting.
Tweeting is, I think, got its good sides and bad sides. On the one hand, you can communicate directly with voters. Donald Trump is now moving people and stocks and companies with just one tweet and is able to directly communicate his thoughts on that. On the other hand, he is the President of the United States. You have to be a little bit tempered in what you say. And Twitter is the Wild West in that it fostered a sense of communication that I think is non-filtered. On the one hand, that's great. On the other hand, those of us in the public eye get to hear from people who probably should filter themselves a little bit better, including the President of the United States, who I really think this coming president needs to filter himself just a little better.
Final question, closer to home. 2017, New Jersey post Chris Christie, when he leaves the governorship. I mean, you are connected, full disclosure,
yes,
to the
Phil Murphy campaign. He's my client. I think Chris Christie, if you look at his numbers and if you look at the mess that he's left behind, it's going to be incredibly hard for the Republican Party to come back from that next year. I think it'll take a generation for them to be able to come back, in that he, for better or worse, he may agree or disagree with his policies, but the vast majority of New Jerseyans no longer respect him as a leader, and as a result, anybody tied to him, and that's anybody in the legislature, certainly Lieutenant Governor, anybody that ever defended his policies or him as an individual is going to have that around their necks, and that's a very, very, very tough rock to be able to push up the slope.
But once again, to clarify, you are directly tied to
I am very much tied, so this is a very partisan analysis on my part.
Julie, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much, Steve.
And also your previous appearances with us on
Anytime.
public television. Wish you the best.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
We're now joined by Roger Bodman, our good friend who's been with us many times here on public television, a great friend of public broadcasting.
Thank you.
With Public Strategies Impact, you've been involved in so many campaigns as a Republican strategist. The biggest message you take from the Donald Trump victory as our new president?
You know, take a look around this country. You know, I think the Democratic Party, to a certain degree, lost its way with a real huge proportion of its base. You know, the working men and women of this nation. You know, the blue wall of Wisconsin, of Michigan, of Pennsylvania fell. I was doing a program on election night with one of your public broadcasting partners, and I had my iPad on. I tuned into a website that was updating these states on a regular basis, and I was looking at Wisconsin. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm thinking to myself, 2/3, 3/4 is in. He's up by 3 points. There's something going on here. I, in fact, mentioned it on air that night.
I saw you.
You know, and you know, so the Democratic Party, you know, when you call people deplorables,
as Hillary Clinton did.
As Hillary Clinton did. Or you go to this coal country and you say, I'm going to take all your jobs. You see states like Pennsylvania, you know, Western Pennsylvania in particular, you know, voting enormously for him. So he touched a nerve, and it's surprising to all of us who have been around this business as long as we have, but he touched a nerve.
Let me ask you something about you. But you're someone who served in the cabinet of Tom Kean. You've always been known as a very moderate Republican who just has worked so well with Democrats.
Right.
Republicans, it doesn't matter. How effective will Donald Trump be in governing and working well with all kinds of different people?
It remains to be seen. It really does. And, you know, I mean, all of us have our concerns to a certain degree about sort of the tone and tenor, but I think he's improving. You know, my view is you give the man a chance. He's our president. You know, I'm a big believer in democracy. I used to go to Eastern Europe after the communists fell as an election observer. I've seen it up close, what democracy means, and you know, he's the president. So I want to give him a chance. You know, I don't think any of us know the answer to that question, Steve, but I think he will do better than we think he will.
Tweeting concern you? The social media activity of
to some degree, but you know, that's how
president?
he did it. That's how he did it.
Is campaigning different than governing? I mean, you know both very well.
Yes, but you know, it's worked for him. He's gone. Yeah, I think for a president, there has to be a certain decorum, and I think he should be careful what he does and not sort of knee-jerk emotionally react via a tweet process. But I also know that he's gone around candidly some of the mainstream media that way and approaches the people that he believes are his followers and in fact are, and communicates with them that way. So, you know, I taught at Rutgers for 20 years a campaign.
Eagleton Institute.
Exactly, a campaign technique course. You know, and I left 7-8 years ago knowing I didn't understand social media. I just didn't. I thought tweeting was a bird in a tree, okay? So I knew it was time, I was getting long in the tooth and time to hang up the spurs, so to speak. Obviously, this stuff works, and it worked for him.
Well, let me ask you this finally. New Jersey, 2017, going to be a gubernatorial year. Your prediction as to what it's going to look like and feel like?
First, let me say that I am amazed that the Democrats have come together so early around Phil Murphy. In 40 years of involvement in this business, I've never seen them coalesce this quickly around a candidate. That's a credit to him and to his team. Kim Guadagno, who is here today, is a wonderful
Lieutenant
person.
Governor, right?
Lieutenant Governor, a wonderful person, thoughtful, well-liked. Everyone in the state, I think, has her cell phone number. And so it'll be an epic race. Clearly, history teaches you a lesson. We've never had a Republican succeed a Republican in my political lifetime. And so I think it's an uphill climb, candidly, for Lieutenant Governor. But, don't underestimate her. She's quite a lady.
Life after Chris Christie is going to be very interesting.
In New Jersey, it sure is.
And it's been very interesting with him.
Yeah, it's been a ride, As I said in this panel earlier when they were asking about his last year, never underestimate Chris Christie. He said at a luncheon speech a week or two ago, I will go out as I came in, loudly. I believe him.
It is a mistake to underestimate Governor Christie.
It is, in fact.
As always, it's a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
New Jersey Capitol Report is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of New Jersey Capitol Report has been provided by Wells Fargo, Seton Hall University, New Jersey Resources, N.J. Best, Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation, the New Jersey Association of Health Underwriters, Fedway Associates, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State.
As one of America's premier Catholic universities, Seton Hall is a place where leaders learn to excel, both in and out of the classroom, to explore new frontiers, to serve those in need, to succeed as champions, to achieve their dreams. Seton Hall University, where leaders learn.